Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and if you've been playing Open Great League lately, you've probably been seeing a lot of Bastiodon. Bastiodon is absolutely everywhere, so in today's video, I'm attempting to fight back. In today's video, I'm going to be using Shadow GOLURK to try and core break Bastiodon, Medicham, and Registeel teams. Shadow GOLURK is a ground and ghost type Pokemon, meaning that it can hit all three of those Pokemon for super effective damage. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Shadow GOLURK in the Open Great League. Hopping to the first match, and our target has been acquired, Shadow GOLURK into Bastiodon. Opponent is going to save switch into Trevenant, and I have a great response available with Drapion. Drapion going straight for the crunch as soon as I get there. Opponent is going to let that through, and down goes Trevenant. This will, however, set up at a pretty aggressive farm down for Bastiodon, and Bastiodon is often paired with Medicham. And if that's the case, then honestly, I should probably save some energy on Drapion for the Medicham later in the game. So what I'm going to do is farm up a massive amount of energy with Drapion, and I'm going to try and bank a crunch for later and switch back into the GOLURK. Because odds are, GOLURK is probably pretty good versus what they have in the back, and it is a Medicham after all. Medicham farming up a ton of energy, they're going to start firing off charge moves here. Ice Punch would hit for super effective damage, so I will commit the shield. GOLURK at the back-to-back Shadow Punches here, looking to put some pressure onto the Medicham. Medicham commits the shield. GOLURK already firing off charge move number 2. This will grab the final shield from the opponent as they desperately need to get rid of the GOLURK, so Bastiodon has play in the endgame. I will commit my final shield on the Ice Punch because I should be able to make it to the Shadow Punch and KO the Medicham. The only area of concern is Bastiodon left with a move. Bastiodon is going to be able to fire off the flamethrower. Down goes Shadow GOLURK. I'm going to send in Lapras. Lapras farming up, making it to the Surf, and this will be super effective damage onto Bastiodon. Surf, not enough to KO. They make the Stone Edge, and this is where things get a bit tough. Stone Edge onto the Lapras. Lapras able to hang on, Ice Shard down, and secure the win. Moving into the next match, leading Shadow GOLURK into Medicham. Considering I have the Ice-type Lapras in the back, I am happy to catch the Medicham on the lead. I'm looking to overfarm with the GOLURK, Mud Slaps tearing through the Medicham, and I'm going to shield up their first charge move. They go for the Psychic. That tells me they're not running Ice Punch. They save switch into Noctowl. Thankfully, I'm able to hang on to my energy and send in Lapras. Lapras does do quite well here. They go for the Sky Attack. I'm going to look to overfarm and return fire with the Surf. Unfortunately, I am not running Ice Beam, so I can only hit for neutral with my charge moves. Surf is going to connect, but Noctowl tanks that fairly well. Noctowl is going to be firing off the next charge move. It's another Sky Attack, getting the Lapras low. Lapras looking to farm up, going for the Surf. Surf will KO from this range. We'll have to see. Noctowl is going to commit the shield. They're going for switch advantage, and they get it, surviving with a sliver of HP. I'm going to send in the Shadow Drapion and just tank the damage here. So I'm going to no shield. Opponent went for the Shadow Ball, anticipating I was sending back in the GOLURK. In the back, they have Lantern. Oh my goodness. They are core broken by Shadow GOLURK. Crunch is going to connect. Continuing to farm up. I'm going to let this go. They have to Thunderbolt the KO here. They go for the Surf. I'm able to hang on. Opponent sends in the Medicham, and I fire off the Crunch. Crunch will get some valuable chip damage. I do get KO'd, but now it's all up to GOLURK. GOLURK farms down. Bring back in that Lantern. GOLURK going for the Shadow Punch bait. Gets the shield, makes it to the Earth Power. This will be massive overkill. Goodbye, Lantern, and that is a good game. We see a great lead in the next match, Shadow GOLURK into Registeel. Opponent staying in this lead, which means this must be one of those ABA double steal teams. And if that's the case, then Shadow GOLURK is about to feast. They go for the Zap Cannon. They do get the attack drop, which is unfortunate. I'm going to farm up and go for the Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch should be lethal from here. I fire off the Shadow Punch. I get the shield. Opponent catches onto a Galarian Stunfisk. So they are running ABA double steal. I'm going to stay in with the Golurk despite the fact that I'm debuffed because these Mud Slaps are still crushing the Stunfisk. I will commit a shield because I do want to save my Golurk for later, and now I'm going to send in Lapras. I should have switched in time to the point where they can't make double Rock Slide here. They make it to Rock Slide number 1, and I go for the Surf just before they make it to Rock Slide number 2. Now this will be lethal. Opponent can just send in the Registeel and Zap Cannon, but instead, they're going to bring in their final Pokemon, which is Medicham. So I am definitely happy that I saved the Shadow Golurk, because they are so weak to it. I'm going to be able to land the Surf. Medicham does get the farm down. I send in Golurk, and I'm going for the Shadow Punch right away. I did throw on alignment, but I did want to guarantee that final shield. They're going to be able to grab the shield back, and then I'm actually going to switch into the Shadow Drapion here. In comes the Drapion. They're going to fire off a charge move. This should just be the Ice Punch. Ice Punch is going to connect, and then they send back in the Registeel to KO the Drapion. But this is actually perfect for me because this sets up Shadow Golurk, Mud Slaps down, leaves with the Shadow Punch, and that's going to be goodbye to the Medicham. Medicham KO'd by the Shadow Punch, and that's a good game. Picking up a terrible lead in the next match, Shadow Golurk into Trevenant. I'm going to immediately save switch into Lapras. My opponent staying in this matchup, and they're going for the Seed Bomb. This would deal quite a lot of chip damage, so I will commit the shield. Opponent with a shield advantage can now send in the Alolan Ninetales. I do have an energy lead here, but the Ninetales, these charms, are very oppressive even against a bulky Pokemon like Lapras. Lapras farming up, going for the Surf, losing CMP as they make the Psyshock. Psyshock onto the Lapras. Lapras with 1 HP able to hang on and make a last second Surf. This Surf is going to connect, and unfortunately, I fall just short of making another. I'm going to send back in the Shadow Golurk. Golurk looking for the farm down, not going to get it, so instead, I'm forced to catch onto Shadow Drapion. Drapion does not take the Weather Ball super well, and now I have energy on the Drapion and energy on the Golurk for later. We'll have to see what my opponent has in the back, and they have a Lantern. So my opponent could have brought the Lantern into the Lapras save switch, but perhaps thinking I was trying to bait out the Lantern, they save it for the back, and now this puts me in a significantly better position. I am going to give up my final shield, because if I can get shields down, I should be able to win this game. So I'm going to fire off the Sludge Bomb on the CMP tide to their second Surf. Sludge Bomb onto the Lantern does get the final shield, and now Shadow Golurk can finish this game. Surf is going to KO. In comes the Golurk. They send in Trevenant, and look how much damage the Shadow Punch does. KOs the Trevenant. Back in comes the Lantern. Lantern gets outpaced by the Golurk. Golurk, Shadow Punch, takes down the Lantern as we clutch the win. Picking up a terrible lead in the next match, Shadow Golurk into Shadow Gliscor. I save switch into Shadow Drapion, and my opponent responds with Galarian Stunfisk. Stunfisk going for the Rock Slide right off the bat. It's only a Rock Slide, so I don't have to shield it, but this is honestly part of my opponent's plan. If they land 1 Rock Slide, then they can guaranteed control switch advantage. I need 3 crunches to KO, so as long as they throw their second Rock Slide before I reach my 3rd crunch, unfortunately, I am just never going to be able to flip switch here because Poison Sting just does not do enough fast move pressure. So I am going to let the Rock Slide through. My opponent does a perfect undercharge. What a play. I send in the Shadow Golurk, looking for the farm down. Unfortunately, they still do not make the Earthquake here. I just have to hope that Lapras can beat whatever's in back. It's a Lantern, and I resign the match. The tough leads continue in the next match. Shadow Golurk into Lickitung. Absolutely awful. I'm going to be save switching into the Shadow Drapion, and my opponent responds with a Medicham. They gave my Shadow Drapion a pretty significant energy lead, so I should be able to force shields here. My opponent shields the first. Unfortunately, I do not get the defense drop. They're running Power Up Punch, so they are just looking to buff up their attack as they boost through the Drapion. Drapion able to make it to the back-to-back crunches, looking to put more pressure onto this Medicham. Crunch gets the shield and the debuff, and now they have no shields remaining. This is a debuffed Crunch, getting them incredibly low. I'm going to send in the Shadow Golurk. They fire off a charge move right away. I will commit the shield. They go for the Psychic, and I'm going to go for the farm down. If they send back in the Lickitung, I should be able to make it to an Earth Power, and Earth Power is definitely going to hurt. Unfortunately, there was a little bit of lag there, not quite sure what happened. They go for the Body Slam. Body Slam does a lot for double resisted, but I'm able to hang on, make it to the Earth Power. Earth Power connects. In comes the Lapras in the bag. They have a Alolan Ninetales, but Alolan Ninetales is out of shields. I fire off the Surf. Surf is going to connect since they have no more shields to use. But now, the tricky thing is, I don't think 2 Surfs quite KO here. I think I'm going to need some additional Ice Shard damage as well. They go for the Weather Ball, just hoping for any and all possible damage. I fire off the Surf. This is going to be very close here. Surf gets them low. It's a race. Lapras gets the farm down and leaves with the Surf loaded. This will take care of the Lickitung. Actually, it doesn't. Lickitung survives with a sliver of HP, so Shadow Golurk gets its revenge and Mud Slaps down. The bad leads will not stop as we lead Shadow Golurk into Azumarill. I save switch into Shadow Drapion, my opponent responds with Altaria, and they give me a pretty sizable energy lead here. So I can definitely force either shield advantage or switch. I land 1 crunch, I'm going for crunch number 2, and my opponent has to shield this, or I can take away switch advantage. They will go down a shield in order to keep switch. They're going to fire off a Sky Attack before I make it to crunch number 3, and I decide to actually let this go. Instead, I'm going to go for farm on Lapras. Lapras looking for the Ice Shard down, Altaria barely able to hang on and connect with the Sky Attack. That's definitely unfortunate. I was hoping that I could farm down with that Ice Shard. My opponent is going to send in the Azumarill, so whatever they have in back does not necessarily want to see Lapras. I'm firing off the Skull Bash. It ends up being a CMP tie. Skull Bash is able to connect. Now that my defense is raised, I'm actually going to be able to tank the Play Rough. So I am able to survive the Play Rough. Oh no, they have Sableye in the back. I'm firing off the Surf. Surf will deal some solid chip damage here onto the Sableye, and now I have to send in the Shadow Golurk. I have to shield everything here. They go for the foul play. Can I KO in 3 Mud Slaps? Shadow Golurk gets the farm down. Maybe we have a chance. In comes the Azumarill. This is going to be close. Shadow Golurk is very low, but I do have the back-to-back Shadow Punches. Shadow Punch number 1 gets the shield, and I make it to Shadow Punch number 2. Is this going to KO? Shadow Punch does not. And that's game over. Picking up a decent lead in the next match, Shadow Golurk into Medicham. We'll have to see, is my opponent willing to stay in? No, they are not. They save switch into Charmalola Ninetales. Shadow Drapion was probably the safer counter swap here, but the reason why I wanted to bring in Lapras was that even if I lose switch, then I don't have to worry about Lapras against the Medicham. It's only Drapion, and Drapion can do pretty well there. My opponent goes for the Weather Ball. That is not going to be doing nearly enough damage, and this should allow me to double up on Surfs. I should live the next charm, which means I will get both of these Surfs off. I'm able to grab the second shield and get some nice chip damage as well. Lapras putting in so much work. I'm now able to get them low. They fire off a Weather Ball. That's perfectly fine. I can tank it on the Drapion and fully commit to the farm down here. Looking for the farm down opponent is going to send in Medicham, and I'm going to send in the Shadow Golurk. This is enough for the Ice Punch, so I will respect it with a shield. Opponent baits with a Power-Up Punch. You have got to be kidding me. And I'm returning fire with the Shadow Punch here. Shadow Punch is going to get them low. Golurk looking for the farm down here. It could have only been a Power-Up Punch, but I lost count. I thought they were at the Ice Punch, so I commit the shield, and I end up using both of my shields in the match on double resisted moves. That is absolutely awful. In the back, oh no, they have Shadow Drapion. We have Earth Power. Drapion gets one shot, and that's game over. Hopping into the final match, picking up a terrible lead, Shadow Golurk into Trevenant. I save switch into Lapras. Opponent responds with a Galarian Stunfisk. Honestly, this is not bad for me whatsoever. I should hopefully be able to force a shield. They go for the Rock Slide. I'm going to throw 1 Ice Shard and then go for the Surf. Surf will do some solid chip damage. I am going to have to throw my next move on alignment as it would be a CMP tie, but my opponent ends up going for the extra Mud Shot. But honestly, I don't mind conceding a free Mud Shot because I'm able to get that ever important shield advantage. And shield advantage is realistically what I'm after here. Rock Slide is going to KO. I send in the Shadow Golurk. Golurk looking for the farm down, and they do not make the Earthquake. That's quite nice. I'm now close to a Shadow Punch, and I have a shield advantage, so they can't really send in the Trevenant here. So they're going to send in a Azumarill, and I'm going for the Earth Power. This Earth Power is only neutral, but it's going to hurt. Getting the Azu low. I farm up with the Golurk, go for the Shadow Punch, Punch, and they switch into Trevenant. But this Shadow Punch is going to deal massive damage to the Trevenant. I send in the Shadow Drapion. Drapion will be hit with a Shadow Ball from the Trevenant. That does quite a bit of damage, but I am able to hang on. Here, I think I could have farmed down in hindsight, but I was a little worried they would live on 1 HP, so I just decided to go for the crunch. They commit the shield. They're trying to force my final shield, but that works for me because I have the Sludge Bomb loaded. They send in the Azumarill into the loaded Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb takes down Azu, and that's a good game. All in all, I had a ton of fun using Shadow Golurk. Shadow Golurk is absolutely not a Pokemon that I would recommend for climbing, but it's a really fun spice pick for making sure that any Steel types or Metachan that you encounter have an absolutely awful day. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.